We live in Utah, and when my uncle was 19, he left on a mission. They sent him to an isolated Native American reservation in the Southwest. It was small, nestled on the edge of dense, dark woods that seemed to stretch forever, pressing in on every side like they were trying to reclaim land. His assigned companion was a guy fresh-faced and eager, but not ready for what they were walking into. From the moment they arrived, it was clear they weren't welcome. The air felt thick with unspoken tension. The locals wouldn't look them in the eye. Conversations were short, clipped, and filled with silent disapproval that neither of them could quite understand. The tribal council made it known they didn't want outsiders, especially missionaries, staying on sacred land. Eventually, a compromise was struck. They were allowed to stay, but only in a trailer stationed on the far outskirts of the reservation, just a few yards from the tree line. The woods loomed like silent sentinels, their gnarled branches clawing at the sky. That first night, as they settled into the rickety trailer, a strange unease took root. He told me it felt like they were being watched, like something out there already knew they didn't belong. Just after midnight, that unease turned into sheer terror. Without warning, the trailer began to shake violently. It wasn't the wind, and it wasn't an earthquake. It felt like something, or someone, was shoving the structure from both sides, rocking it like a toy. They hit the floor and scrambled beneath the bolted-down table, shielding themselves from what felt like an attack. The trailer groaned and creaked, metallic shearing echoing in the small space, as unseen forces pushed and pulled from opposite ends. For nearly 5 minutes, the assault continued. Then, silence. Absolute, unnatural silence. The next day, while making their rounds, one of them casually mentioned the incident to one of the families they visited. The reaction was immediate and chilling. The family fell silent, their faces drained of color. The father stood, looked him dead in the eye and said, "You need to leave." No explanation, no argument, just pure and raw fear. They exchanged confused glances, brushing it off as resentment toward their presence. They returned to the trailer that night, and the shaking began again. Just past midnight, like clockwork, the trailer rocked back and forth, harder this time. He said he could hear low growling outside, subtle, like something just barely holding back. He held his breath and listened. It wasn't the wind, and it wasn't footsteps. It was pushing, like hands or claws scraping and forcing the trailer to tilt. Again, they hid beneath the table, paralyzed, and again, it stopped after a few minutes. It didn't stop the following night, or the night after that. Every time they brought it up to anyone, the result was the same. Fear, followed by silence, and what followed was a warning to leave. I was starting to believe the locals were behind it. Some kind of hazing or intimidation. My companion, on the other hand, was much less certain. Then came the turning point. We stopped at a small convenience store on the edge of town, just outside the reservation boundary. Frustrated, they spoke openly about the nightly disturbances and the refusal of the locals to help. The clerk, an older native man with sun-worn skin, overheard. He turned slowly and said, barely above a whisper, "They can't talk about it. It's forbidden." I paused and asked, "Can't talk about what?" The man's eyes darkened. "Skinwalkers," he said. "They're not just stories. They're real. They're evil. Witches, demons, twisted things that wear skins like masks. If you speak of them, they know, they listen, and they come for you." I laughed. Another scare tactic, just more superstition. But something about the man's voice, something about the way he avoided eye contact, it stuck with me. That night, when the shaking returned, I have had enough. I stormed to the trailer door, adrenaline drowning out my fear. He flung it open and shouted into the night, "Hey!" For a second, everything stopped. Then we saw them. 3 animals, 2 wolves, and a massive bear, lurking just at the edge of the tree line. But they weren't right. Their bodies were misshapen, too long in the limbs, and their eyes gleamed with something human. The moment they noticed they were being watched, the creatures stood up on 2 legs and walked. No, strode into the tree line. As they vanished into the darkness, they let out a sound that made my blood run cold. A laugh. Not an animal sound, not a snarl. A human laugh. High-pitched and very mocking. That was the last night we spent on the reservation. The next morning, they called their mission leader. No questions asked, they were relocated within hours. For a while, things returned to normal. A full year passed without incident. Then change came again. His companion was transferred to another area and was told he'd be getting a new one. They had to pick him up from the airport, about an hour's drive away. The route would take them through the outskirts of the reservation, the same cursed stretch of road that had haunted his memories. When they arrived at the airport around 8 p.m., the mission leader greeted the new companion, but before they left, he pulled him aside. "We're passing through dangerous territory tonight," he said sternly. "If you need to use the restroom, go now. We don't stop on that road. Not at night." The new guy, confused but dismissive, replied, "I'm fine." The leader's face darkened. His voice dropped. "No, I'm not joking. If you need to go, go now. You won't get another chance." The new companion laughed awkwardly, but stood firm. So they hit the road. About 30 minutes into the drive, just as they were surrounded by the dense woods near the reservation, the new companion started shifting uncomfortably. "I really gotta go," he muttered. And the mission leader's jaw clenched. "We don't stop here." "But I really can't hold it," he insisted. With a deep breath, the leader finally pulled over. The area was pitch black save for the car headlights slicing through the trees. He turned to him. "You go right next to the door. If I tell you to get in, you run." He nodded, but still not grasping the weight of the moment. He stepped out and began relieving himself alongside the car. 5 seconds passed. Without a word, the leader suddenly reached out and yanked him back inside, slamming the door shut, then floored the gas pedal. "What the hell?" he yelled. "What's going on?" No one answered. Everyone's eyes were glued to the passenger window, wide with fear. Something was running alongside the car. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't a man. It was both. A tall, lupine figure, twisted and impossibly fast, was sprinting on 2 legs just feet from the car. Its yellow eyes glowed in the darkness. Its jaws were open in a manic grin. They were doing 60, then 70, lastly up to 80, but it kept pace for 10 full minutes. Then, without warning, it veered off into the trees, disappearing like it had never been there at all. No one spoke for the rest of the drive. When they finally arrived, pale and slightly shaken, the new companion stumbled out of the car and turned to the mission leader. What did I see?" The leader met his eyes, calm but deadly serious. "Next time I tell you to take care of your business, you take care of your damn business."